It's time now for a special end-of-year edition of Movie Spotlight. We're breaking from our usual schedule and bringing the segment to you today to close out the year in Korean cinema. And what better way to do that than with our annual Movie Spotlight Awards, hand-picked by our resident film critics. Welcome, Darcy Paquet.
Hi, Lana.
And Jason Bechervaise.
Hello, Alana.
Now, before we jump into these hotly anticipated awards, let's first look at the industry more broadly. Jason, what were your main takeaways from the past year? Has the industry turned a corner? Is it still struggling?
It hasn't turned a corner. It is still struggling. Box office is over 50% down on pre-pandemic levels. I think this year it's going to struggle to hit 100 million admissions. Put this into context, between 2012 and 2019, the number of tickets sold were over 200 million. I was looking at the films that were the top 10 this year with my students in class today, and Zootopia sold, close to 6 million tickets, but that's number one, Before it would be like a movie with
Twice as much.
Twice as much, 12, 13 million tickets, perhaps even more, and that's number one. And you look further down, it's even more depressing. The top Korean film was My Daughter is a Zombie at 5.6 million admissions, followed by Yadang at 3 million, and No Other Choice, Park Chan-wook's film, just under 3 million, and you got Hitman 2. So there's a few films in the top 10, but not many. Local market share this year, I think, will be under 50%, and so that's also concerning for the local industry. It has punched above its weight. Even during the pandemic, in some years it was, the market share was over 50%. Animations are a big draw, big draw. Japanese anime in particular, with Demon Slayer, Chainsaw, and Korean animation film did quite well. I say quite well, 224,000 tickets, but it was playing for quite a long time. Your Letter. No Korean films in Cannes this year, which set an alarm bells off. But, the full festival circuit was a bit better with No Other Choice. Begonia, which is a co-production. It's a Hollywood movie, but it is a Korea co-production. There was The World of Love in Toronto. Bong Joon-ho's Hollywood movie, Mickey 17, also underwhelmed. It's generating $133 million worldwide. I mean, looking at the highlights this year, I suppose No Other Choice, which is is well received largely. It's currently in the awards race. Been nominated for 3 Golden Globes, including best film or musical comedy, foreign movie or non-English language film. An actor for Lee Byung-hun, in the musical comedy category. So the industry essentially is looking towards global markets as literally it's shrinking as we speak, domestically.
Darcy, from your perspective, what kind of year was it for the industry overall?
Yeah, I think it's good to remember that, from, 2010 to 2019 or so, you had this incredible boom. And, if there's a boom at some point, it has to come down. And
right.
Then, it was cut off by the pandemic in such an abrupt way that, the question was, do we just need some time for it to recover and then go back up to its previous? And everybody knows now that's not going to happen, that nobody's waiting for the recovery. I think we know that this is a new era and that moviegoing is just a different thing. Like, it's less of a social activity than it used to be. I think that people have become more used to watching movies at home, perhaps watching films by themselves. It's not the kind of thing that, new movie comes out and then you want to see it with all your friends. And it's becoming a little bit less mainstream than it used to be. Like, it used to be like super mainstream entertainment in Korea, and everybody would be talking about the new films that came out. And I think Netflix was quite successful in kind of taking over the vibe so that people pay more attention to what's coming out on Netflix perhaps than what's coming out in theaters. And, the industry still does have a lot of talent. They're still producing interesting films. The independent sector has weathered this storm fairly well. I think they're kind of at a very, a very consistent level. They're kind of doing what they were doing even before the pandemic. But for commercial cinema, like, clearly it's a new world, and so the industry is trying to decide how to adapt.
And obviously we're still seeing how that's all going to play out. We're going to turn now to our own awards, where we recognise some of the top features, some of the top talent from the local industry over the past year. Jason, first let's talk about how you choose the films and what are the categories.
Yeah, full disclosure here, it's not a complex process. Darcy, Mark and I basically come to an agreement.
Okay.
That's it. And also there's not really been much out there this year, so it wasn't that difficult. But yeah, we do see most things. And so we're able to hopefully acknowledge, some of the best Korean films over the past 12 months. And also, we didn't want, one film taking all the awards. So we've tried to acknowledge, different films. And in terms of the categories, we just have 4: Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best New Actor.
Okay, well, let's start with that last one first. Best New Actor. Darcy, why don't you fill us in with that drum roll, please?
So, Best New Actor is Seo Soo-bin for her performance in Yoon Ga-eun's The World of Love. This is her first experience acting. There was a big audition that was held for this role, and she managed to win it. And it's a really challenging and intense role, I think. It requires this great emotional range, but she has this energy that comes off the screen. And just recently at a film festival in the Middle East, I believe it was the Red Sea Film Festival, she won a Best Actress award. So she's being recognized not only among this film's fans in Korea, but also internationally.
Mm-hmm. Jason, what did you think of her role?
Incredible. She's clearly going to sweep all the new award or the new kind of actor awards next year. She'll get the Blue Dragon one, I think. And deservedly so, because it's just it's just such a incredibly committed performance. Her character, like that, has the highs and lows, and as Darcy said, and she's able to capture them in such a kind of authentic way. I mean, Yoon Ga-eun's films are so real, they're just so natural, and so she just comes across as just a mesmerizing figure, because she's just a naturally gifted performer. She's gonna be a big actress in Korea, I think, because she's just so talented.
Sounds like her future is very bright. We're going to move on now to Best Actor. Jason, who have you decided on?
So we went with Lee Byung-hun for his acclaimed role in Park Chan-wook's movie No Other Choice. So in the movie he plays a very interesting character, a paper industry expert. He's basically laid off. And so what does he do? He hunts for a new job, and he goes about killing the competition. And, it's a very eccentric role. I mean, Lee Byung-hun is someone who is just so versatile. And, just taking on a whole wide range of roles, throughout his career, including JSA, another Park Chan-wook movie. A Bittersweet Life, The Fortress, he's been in melodramas, and, he talks to people from the industry, and there's just so much affection for him as a great actor. And this role in particular does demonstrate his range, I think, because it is unusual. This is a comedy in many ways, and he's just, he's electrifying in it, and so, deservedly, he gets this award, and hopefully many others that are coming his way, maybe in Hollywood.
Well,
who knows?
Absolutely no surprise seeing No Other Choice somewhere on our list. But Darcy, what did you make of Lee Byung-hun's role?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, he made his debut 30 years ago, in the mid-1990s, and he's been in many films since then that I've seen, and yet, the performance that he gave felt new, and it's hard to do that after 30 years in your career. Comedy is also, I think, a really underrated aspect of acting. People tend to think that it's easy because the characters might look, relaxed or something in some way, but I do think it's probably the hardest kind of comedy. Like if you're good at comedy, then you're a really good actor. And yeah, I loved his role. I laughed a lot. I was really pulled in by it. I think it's like charismatic and also kind of disturbing at the same time. So yeah, I think it's well deserved.
Now, our next category, this is where I thought no other choice might pop up, but it hasn't. Our next category is Best Director. Darcy, tell us, who is your Korean filmmaker of the year?
Okay, so our Korean filmmaker of the year is Byun Sung-hyun, Best Director for his film Good News. This is a film that premiered in Toronto this year. It screened at the Busan Film Festival, and then now it's on Netflix. It is a Netflix production. It depicts the hijacking of a Japanese plane in 1970 by this militant communist organization. And then it eventually lands in Seoul. It stars Seo Kyung-gu and Hong Kyung. And yeah, I mean, we considered giving it to Park Chan-wook. I think Park Chan-wook has, demonstrated his capabilities as a director, certainly over the years. So it would have been no surprise. But Byun Sung-hyun, I was really impressed by this. I mean, he's already kind of established himself as, a really talented director of the next generation. And, I think people expect a lot from him. But, this is it's a story that other people would have approached in a very different way. And I think he really made it kind of feel like his own type of film.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we have to round it out. Maybe the most important award, I'm not sure, arguably, Best Film. Jason, tell us, what great Korean film have you selected for 2025?
Okay, this felt even more unanimous. We went with Yoon Ga-eun's The World of Loves. It is the best film of the year for me personally, but I think for many people in the industry. Yoon Ga-eun's, she's just made these incredible films. I screen Sprout to my students a lot, and I talk a lot about The World of Us, and yeah, she made a movie called The House of Us. She gets these incredible, like I say, performances out of a very young cast, actually. Movies delve into social issues, both in and out of the classroom. And this film, the characters are a bit older. But yeah, she's managed to raise that bar. Mm-hmm. And I was really just quite moved by the whole film. I think, going back to what I said earlier about the performances, it just everything just feels so natural, and there's some just amazing scenes. I'll never forget, there's a scene in a car when it's going through a car wash, and it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that scene.
Yeah, things kind of just, it's a conversation, but things kind of come to the surface, put it that way. Because it's one of those movies you can't really talk too much about, because by revealing, the kind of the source of the main character's trauma, then it spoils it. But it does delve into issues that are quite pertinent, and I think it's an incredible film. Mm-hmm. Why did Cannes Festival not take this movie? I just don't understand. It went to Toronto, but it really should have premiered there.
Now, Darcy, Jason has just said this was actually quite an easy choice for you to come to, but what ultimately set The World of Love apart for you?
Yeah, I think that, for me, it's the way that it balances kind of the light and the dark in the film. Because the dark, again, I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but it really kind of hits you hard. And, some people, after its screening in Toronto, were talking about, should there have been some kind of warning for the audience to let them know what's coming? And yet, the way the film reveals everything in such a careful way, controlled way, is one of the things that makes it really effective. And at the same time, the main character and then her friends are all in high school, and it really captures kind of the energy of high school life in Korea quite well. And it's really, I can't think of any other film that resembles it, and so it's something that feels very new, and it's really well executed, and I think it'll mean a lot for a lot of its audience too.
Mm-hmm. Really briefly, Darcy, looking ahead, what do you think will be some of the defining features of next year for the Korean film industry?
Yes, I mean, we have some big filmmakers releasing films next year. There's a huge movie called Hope from director Na Hong-jin that we've been waiting for.
Very
for a long
expensive.
Time. Yeah. International scale film. Director Lee Chang-dong is returning.
He's got a Netflix movie as well, yeah.
Yeah, his first feature since Burning. So many people are very excited about that. Director Kim Ji-yoon is coming back with a new film called The Hole. And yeah, so I think that, next year's, it's not going to have a huge number of commercial films because the financing situation is not that strong these days. But, there are some big well-known directors who have an international following. And I think those directors are, thankfully they've been able to kind of raise some funds and then make some exciting new films for next year.
Before we wrap up, Jason, if you have to pick one thing you're looking forward to next year, what would you choose?
I don't know. I mean, definitely Nangjin's Hope for sure. A bit concerned about its budget, but we'll see what happens with that. But I do think, I would mention that, the Korea film industry is in the process of kind of internationalization, and they're seeking co-productions. And this week, actually, I saw that there was an agreement signed between the Producers Guild of Korea, PGK, and the Canadian Media Producers Association, which, so there'll be co-productions between those two countries. So that's something I think we'll see more of next year. And speaking of co-productions, Kim Ji-yoon's The Hole is an international co-production between a Korean company here and a company in the United States. And Nangjin's Hope features two non-Korean actors, Michael Fassbender and Licia Vikander, and one or two others as well. So, yeah, bring it on.
Lots to look forward to. That brings us to the end of our special year-end edition of Movie Spotlight. Our thanks, as always, to Darcy Paquet and Jason Bechervaise for guiding us through the highlights, the hurdles, and what lies ahead for Korean film. Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Alana.